is Jorge De Leon, and today it is my distinct pleasure to feature a real estate agent that has not only caught my attention, but has captured the attention of a lot of real estate agents in our market. And I qualify and consider this agent one of those agents that have actually gone from average to extraordinary. And considering the statistics in relation to real estate and business overall, I think it's wise for us to hear and learn from Roberta Zuniga with Century 21 Real Estate Alliance, who technically has a lot of things going against her, not because of who she is, but because in real estate, the statistics show that most agents quit real estate before they hit their first year anniversary. It is as I mentioned, I would love to introduce you to Roberta Zuniga. Roberta, welcome to our podcast show. And please tell me a little bit about who you are and how did you get into the real estate business?
Well, my name is Roberta Zuniga from Oxnard, and I got into real estate. It's kind of like more of a personal, reason for myself, and I just wanted to bring families together in homes that create beautiful memories, beautiful growth, milestones and stuff like that.
So we're going to dive in today, and I'm going to ask Roberta a few questions with the hope that we learn from her, and maybe you would be inspired to do the things that you were not doing, and maybe break overcome the challenges that we have in life and in this business, and more importantly, be able to not be a statistic in real estate. Roberta, real estate is one of the things that you do. I think that you do three things. Mm-hmm. Before becoming a full-time real estate agent or a part-time real estate agent, what are you doing, or what were you doing before this?
Well, I'm a barber. I've been barbering since 1985, and in 1999, I decided to take a leap and own my own barbershop, which has been very successful for myself. And in that, while I was barbering, I wanted to become a DJ.
Okay.
So I had to learn that craft. I love music. I think music is the key to somebody's souls. And, I think that anytime you're having some kind of function, any kind of, anything, you put music on it and it just brings everything alive. And that's what I like to do, is to bring people together in the name of love.
So when did you start selling real estate? Which year?
I think it was 22, March of 22.
2022. I'm going to share a statistic with you, and I would like to get your reaction. 74% of licensed real estate agents sold 0 homes in 2024. That's 74% of real estate agents. What's your reaction to that?
I'm like, wow, that surprises me.
It's a surprising statistic, right?
Yes, very surprising.
And the reason why it's surprising is because when we turn social media, everybody seems to be selling real estate. And it seems like there's just a lot of people selling not just dozens, but hundreds of homes per year.
Right.
I want to share a second statistic. 24%, let me rephrase that. It means that 26% of agents sold a home. Okay, that's between 1 and hundreds, if not, thousands. Okay, so you, Roberta,
mm-hmm.
How many homes did you sell in 2024?
I believe it was 7.
7 transactions.
7 transactions.
Okay, so not only are you in the top 26% of real estate agents across the nation, how does that make you feel?
Humble. Very humble.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. and the reason that makes moves me is because a lot of real estate agents out there, they gloat about their production, and this is not intended to gloat about production, but helping our agents break that barrier of making it in this business. It's a tough business. And throughout the podcast series, we will be talking about the mistakes that real estate agents make. We speak about the things that those that beat the odds do on a consistent basis. And today, my hope is that Roberta is going to share those secrets. And they're not necessarily secrets, they're just basic things that real estate agents should be doing on a daily basis. But I'm going to share the third statistics. Okay. You were you were 4 transactions shy of being in the top 2% of real estate agents across the nation.
Wow.
So the statistic is that 2%, the top 2% of real estate agents across the country sold between 11 and 20 transactions. So in my eyes, and in the eyes of a lot of real estate managers out there and recruiters, you're a top producing agent. And the best part of this conversation, Roberta, is that you have never, in the last 12 months that I've been working with you, you have never seen yourself as a top producer, which is a phenomenal quality of humility and modesty. And I just want to congratulate you for that. And I am going to ask other people to congratulate her. Well, I wanted to bring somebody on, but they didn't call in. But yes, this is I think that there's people out there applauding you right now, Roberta, and I just wanted to congratulate you. But I just don't want this to get to your head. I don't think it will, because you are a very humble person. So we've already established that Roberta in 2024 closed more than what the average. Okay, the average is 0, because 74% of agents closed less than 1 transaction. And you are on the way of getting into that top 1%. Okay. Fourth statistic is that those only 0.14%. Okay. This is like just a little bit over 0.1% closed 45 transactions. So in order for you to be considered the top echelon, the crème of la crème, as they say in French, you're on your way there. Obviously, with a little bit of discipline and focus, etc., you'll get there. I'm very confident that you will get to that point. When you closed your first transaction, you mentioned that you have that you DJ and do those things. How many years would it have taken you to be able to make what you did in your first transaction?
Oh, Jorge, I'm not as good with the numbers as you are. I'm just like totally humbled to hear your statistics.
So I think that in our pre-conversation, you mentioned that it would have taken you 2 years of doing DJ gigs to be able to earn what you earned in 1 transaction.
Probably.
Right. But
yes,
it was
correct.
And it's a lot of work to get from taking the stuff from your car to setting up. You have to be early. You have to, set up, and it's just a lot of work. And I just don't want to pretend that a real estate transaction is a simple thing. It's not. It's not as simple.
Not.
Real estate is one of the most difficult things people can do. Obviously, the media makes it look easy, but the reality is that there's just a lot of work, and it's expensive, time-wise, energy-wise, emotions. They refer to that as the blood, sweat, and tears, right?
Right.
And you've paid your dues, Roberta. But I would like for you to share with me. Oh, and if we average by haircuts, maybe $30, that's a lot of haircuts to do what you did in 1 transaction in earnings. We're not going to talk about earnings, et cetera. We're just going to talk about, what it takes to break through in real estate. Can you tell me a little bit about your discipline?
Well, I shut off from everybody. When they were talking about the interest rates going up, Armani told me, don't listen, turn the chatter off. When we had that big movement in our office, I went to speak to Armani because at that point I was like, if this is what real estate's about, I don't want a part of it because I'm not here for the money. As you know, I'm not. I didn't even know that I was a successful realtor, till you brought it up and you kept mentioning it to me, and then I kept hearing things from my colleagues and such, and then I knew, wow, I think I'm onto something, but I didn't know because what I do is I put my head down and I work my ass off, and from day up to sundown. My son's 20 years old, so I'm able to do it. I'm not married, and I have a son who's independent, and so I have a lot of time on my hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I get up in the morning, every morning at 5:30. I drink my coffee, and I listen to my motivational stuff on YouTube. I listen to The Secret. The Secret is a big, big factor of my success. I've been listening to The Secret for about, I think I told you too. This was just kind of like an experiment. I don't know, an experiment for me because The Secret told me that if I applied myself, I could do anything I wanted to do.
Fantastic. So I am a believer that when we come from a sense of gratitude, we accomplish much more because then we don't feel sorry for ourselves. There's a portion of your story that I cannot ignore, and if you feel comfortable sharing this, the assumption is that in America, most have secure housing.
Correct.
How was it for you growing up as a child, housing, and what is it that happened in your life that motivated you to become the best real estate agent that anybody can have?
Well, not to, I don't feel sorry for myself, obviously. I mean, yeah, sometimes it hurts, but that right there, gives me a deeper desire that I already have, and
You have a deeper desire for what you already have, but m- most humans in life are impacted by things that happen where either they go into hibernation and they never come out, or they are motivated to do extraordinary things. And I think that something happened to you which has motivated you to be who you are, Roberta. You don't give up. You have a sense of curiosity where you ask questions and go figure out how to get it done. And I think that a lot of that has to do with your success.
okay. Yes, you're probably right. You are, and with me, okay. Um, growing, my family split up. My mom and dad split up, and there was five of us, six of us, and we were kind of like spread out, and aunts and uncles, took care of us. And growing up, I never felt that it was my home. Just things that, there's a lot of challenges growing up for myself. You're right. I had a lot of challenges. And I was the oldest of my siblings that were separated from our parents. And I kind of took the role as the protector, the caretaker, and even like when I was 9 years old, we had a lawnmower in our home, and I got that lawnmower and I went out and knocked on doors to mow houses, and and that's how I made money for my brothers and sisters so we can go get ice cream, or the ice cream man truck would come and So I already had that like in me. I don't know why it came like that, but I was just a protector. I didn't think of I thought of my brothers and sisters before I thought of myself.
So housing is a basic necessity that all of us have, and some of us were raised, housed insecure. I attend a lot of events. I speak on behalf of the real estate community at city council meetings, and there was a statistic mentioned, or actually there was a fact that was mentioned that made me think about it, and I never saw myself as this. The definition of homelessness for a child is when they have to share a roof with another family. So, based on that
Wow.
statistic, the fact that there was a period in time, and it was not necessarily, um, I don't feel, I just want to clarify, I don't feel bad about it. But because my parents had made the decision to live with my aunt and uncle, and we lived under the same roof, under the same household, that would have marked me as statistically as a being homeless as a child.
Right.
But I see that as an experience that really drove who I am, because then we fast forward to the time that my mom wanted to have her own place, and my parents bought a mobile home, and it was a single wide mobile home in a place that no longer exists. Wagon Wheel. I don't know if you heard of Wagon Wheel. There used to
Yes.
be a mobile home park there. 3 Tuxedo Road was our address. I still remember. And it's interesting that an address makes such an impact to the fact that I still remember that address. And I remember the other street that I used to live on Olive Street in Santa Paula. And then the other address that we lived in Oxnard. And then the address that I lived in growing up. The housing or a home or an address makes a phenomenal impact in our life.
Hmm.
And we think about those individuals that do not necessarily have a permanent address, and the impact that that makes into them. So I would like for us to go into this conversation as to when you decided to become a real estate agent, and your focus was to help people get into homes. And the reality is that you, through your barber shop as a barbering business owner,
Hmm.
and then also as a DJ, you have access, your platform gives you access to individuals that many people would not otherwise consider as a potential client for a different business venue.
Hmm.
So let's talk about your marketing strategy and how you leverage your barbering business and your DJ business in order to generate leads.
You know, Jorge, I don't. It's not something that I I. It comes natural. It. I love talking to people. It doesn't matter what I'm going through. I put that to the side, and I attend to their needs. I'm. Probably because I took care of my brothers and sisters. We were a family within a family, and I never felt like that was my home. Things were said to me to make sure I knew it wasn't my home, you know. And with that, I would always say, one day I'm going to be somebody and I'm going to take my brothers and sisters. I used to say that when I'd get, disciplined or punished, or whatever the case may be. But I always, I was sad, knowing that I felt like I wasn't wanted in that home, and there was times that I would drive around and I would, I'd look at homes and I would wonder what family would be in there, what kind of family was in there, what were they watching? I would see the TV on, I'd see the lights on, and I wanted that, and I knew that I wasn't going to have that at that age. But when I got older, I had my child, and I gave him everything that I didn't have. I gave him the home that I always wanted, and and we have a beautiful milestones there. I believe a home. I just think that a home is like a heartbeat. Right there stems a family's success, a family's bond, a family's growth. You're going to experience deaths. You're going to experience milestones, you're going to experience births, you're going to experience it all, and you need a sacred place. It's like a home is like a church, to me, and I see a lot of families struggling that have the means to buy a home, but just like me, they didn't think they could.
Okay, and that's a very key point there. You don't make a judgment call. You just talk about what you can help them do.
Correct.
So I believe that you're a strong communicator, right?
Correct.
And um, there's many statistics out there to that demonstrate why people fail making it into real estate. And one of the things that I want to highlight is that you're not shy about talking about your trade. You're not shy about talking about the tools and resources that you make available to real estate, to people that might not have thought about being a homeowner, right?
Correct.
So your platform, we spoke in a different podcast as open houses being your storefront to lead generate. In your particular case, you have two business avenues where you lead generate and you communicate. But what is it that you do once you connect with someone that says, yes, I'm actually interested in exploring the possibility of being a homeowner? What is it that you do to be able to develop that potential lead?
You mean like selling them a home, selling them the home?
Well, follow through.
Okay.
I'm sure that you collect their phone number. You have them as a captive audience because you have them in a chair for 30 minutes?
Yes.
Or
yes,
you have,
yes.
but as far as, tell me about how how it goes from, hello, I'm in real estate. I think that you should consider buying a home. And they say, you know what? I would like to buy a home. What do I do next? What's your follow-through process? Tell us about what is it that you do. And I don't want you to give me the trade secrets of who Roberta is. I would like for you to tell me about your follow-through process.
So when they say, "Hey, Roberta," let me just back it up.
Okay.
When I decided to go to real estate school,
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to put it on my platform,
Okay.
and I was going to show them when I first received my books of school for real estate school. There was times I showed them in the mornings what it looked like, what my studies looked like. There, just I showed my platform. I don't want to say audience, but my platform, that what I was into, because I knew that I was going to connect with them in that level, as far as they're wanting to buy homes. So if I let them see firsthand what I'm going through and the realness of Roberta Zuniga, that right there catches somebody's trust instantly. And this first time when I took my test, I failed. And I shared that too. That was hard to share, but I shared it,
So that's accountability.
Okay.
I mean, accountability, I don't, if nobody has maybe shared with you or didn't realize that you sharing with other people is a form of accountability. Because the reason that you shared that is because you wanted to be honest with people.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
There's a sense of, people don't like to be, vulnerable, and therefore they don't share.
Yes.
Because what if I don't make it? How did you overcome that sense of vulnerability by sharing what you were doing and sharing the fact that you didn't make it, you didn't pass the first time around?
Because I understand that there's people like me that are out there failing, and I shouldn't say fail, because scientists fail all the time until they.
But it's okay. I don't want you to see failure as a negative. It's how you come out of it that is the important part.
Right.
So it's okay to say that you failed. You just didn't give up.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so talk about what drove that accountability and why did you share with people? What was going on through Roberta's head when you say, I'm going to share with people my books, I'm going to share my enthusiasm? about it? What was going on through your head when you decided to make that decision?
Well, I just wanted them to know, like, hey, if you're gonna see, you're gonna be able to see firsthand what Roberta Zuniga. If Roberta Zuniga is gonna do it, I didn't even know I was gonna do it, but I do have a lot of faith. I do have a lot of faith, and the thing that helps me through is I know that God has a final say so, and it doesn't matter what is thrown at me because again, I've had to beat the odds growing up. It doesn't matter what you say to me. It doesn't matter what comes my way. Well, because I know that God has the final say so on how Roberta Zuniga.
So you left that on the shoulders, the worrying on the other shoulders of somebody else.
Yes.
Okay. Of the people, let's say that you shared the story that you were going to study for real estate, how many people on a percentage said, "Oh, you're going to do great," versus the people that said, "What the heck are you doing?" I mean,
Only one person said I was going to do great.
so
1%.
1%, 99% thought that you were going to fail. The naysayers, right?
Yeah.
And I would, statistically speaking, and I hate to repeat statistics, we have a tendency of not encouraging people. Okay? It's just a natural condition, and I'm just not going to focus on that. So the reason that you and I are here together, and the reason that you specifically are above average, is because you have broken through the naysayers and the negative talk.
Yes.
Okay, you're not experiencing that negative talk, but the people out there said, "Roberta, what the heck? What do you?" You're
I mean,
not,
don't get me wrong.
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's there in my head. We're not responsible for what comes in our. We're not responsible for what comes in our mind, but our brain. But we're responsible for what stays.
So the point that I wanted to make and have you come out with, Roberta, is that you're just like everybody else that has to deal with the negative talk.
Oh yes,
And
daily.
exactly, right? So you
Daily.
still have to do that and deal with your own inner voice saying, "I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm going to fail." But you have broken through
Mm-hmm.
to beat the odds.
Mm-hmm.
So, negative talk. Let's talk about the moment that you failed the first time. What went through your head? And how did you get yourself? How did you put, they say, you pulled yourself from your bootstraps to go out there and reschedule yourself for the second test.
Well, Jorge, I didn't just fail one time. I failed 3 times. I got my license on my fourth try. The third time I was in I forget where it was at. Up in LA taking my test and the third time when I walked out, they let you know if you pass or not. And I did not pass. And I remember walking out of there and I remember just I remember my son was watching everything. And I wasn't going to stop until I got my license. I wasn't going to stop. And so that when I walked out of that, the third time when I walked out, I went into my hotel room immediately, and I got online, and something unheard of happened, and that was I was able to schedule another appointment the next day.
Wow.
Right. And see, and 3 times each time I had to go back and wait 6 months, 4 months, whatever it was. And by then you kind of lose its flavor. But I went straight to I didn't care how many times I got beat up. I was going to keep going until I got it. And the fourth time when I went back was the next day. They had an opening, and I said I'll take it. And I went back the next day, and when I walked out of there, I remember opening up the letter, and oh my God, it was just me by myself, like it's been for the last couple of years, by myself.
So today we're standing here with Roberta Zuniga with Century 21 Real Estate Alliance, who, in my book, is an above average real estate agent who has broken through the odds. And today we are podcasting over breaking barriers in real estate, going from average to extraordinary. So far, Roberta has been sharing some very personal, personal thoughts about the struggles to get to where she is. We shared some statistics that Roberta didn't necessarily know or cared to know. um, and I'm surprising her because even though I know some stories because we shared some stories before this interview, we are getting information that Roberta did not know that I was going to be asking. Roberta, so you didn't fail once, twice, but you had to take the real estate exam 4 times.
Yes, sir.
What was the feeling when you walked out of that, taking the exam the fourth time, and I'm assuming you passed,
Mm-hmm.
right? What was
Yes.
that feeling?
So it was so different. I remember I remember just when they gave me my assigned seat, it was next to a window, and it had these beautiful palm trees. So I just imagined myself being in Hawaii, and so it took the nervousness away. I've never been to Hawaii, but I just palm trees. It was like, and so it took the nervousness away, and the number that they gave me to sit down was the number of my mom's. May she rest in peace. My mother's mobile home unit, and it was number 27. And I just remember thinking, 27, 27. What is that? That's a number. I know it's a special number. And so it was all there for me. And I remember feeling like if something just lifted me on a cloud, and I took the test. And I got done quick.
Mm-hmm.
And when I walked out, I I felt like a peace, like everything was going to be okay no matter what was going to happen, no matter what I was going to read. And when
You had already done it 1, 2, 3, the fourth time. What am I to lose, right? That's how you thought about it, I'm
yeah.
sure.
Well, that wasn't what am I going to lose. It's like I'm not done. I am not done. I'm very stubborn,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to lose, Jorge.
And I'm glad that you didn't give up. And this is what we're trying to accomplish today is having this conversation with Roberta Zuniga, because a lot of people they don't think that they have what it takes to be able to be successful. And even our own inner voice,
Yes.
the 99% out there that you spoke to that said, no, what
Yeah.
the heck are you doing?
This is the wrong time to get into it.
All that stuff, all that negative things and so forth. And I think that people mean well when they say that. Maybe they don't even recognize that what they're saying is not necessarily.
They're just trying to help.
They're trying to help.
Yeah, they're trying to help.
They're trying to help.
Yeah.
All right. So let's now transition into your last year in real estate, this most current 2024 that we have been spending a lot of time in training sessions, etc. You made the decision of taking on a mentor.
Yes.
More than one mentor.
Yes, more than one mentor.
Okay. Tell me about the value of the right mentor in the success of your career.
The value of the right mentor, I needed a mentor because when I came in, real estate was like Chinese to me.
Okay.
I had even though I passed my test on the fourth time, when I came into the office, it was a whole different ball game. To contracts, to even how you carry yourself, and I had to learn that too because I'm a barber, I'm a DJ, and that was hard to transition.
But you didn't get that naturally. Somebody taught you how to be a barber.
Right.
Someone taught you how to spin some. What do they call that? DJing. You're spinning some
Mixing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, mixing.
See, I don't know anything about DJing. I just know that when somebody is out there doing a good job, I get moving, right?
Yeah.
So the value of a mentor it's invaluable, but it has to be the right mentor.
Right.
There's a lot of mentors out there that only want something out of you, which is a portion of your transaction.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted me to talk about that, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah, let's talk about it because there's a lot of people out there that want something out of you, and they don't have your best interest in mind. And it's important for people to be able to cut through the crap, and then focus on the mentors that are suggested to you by people that really have your best interest in mind. Um, we're not going to name names,
Okay.
okay? But I would like for you to talk about the difference between a bad mentor and a good mentor.
Bad mentors when they just want to take your money. A good mentor uh, doesn't. Of course, they want to get paid, but the, let me just say, the last mentor I've had three. The last mentor I had was a godsend. She really took the time to teach me, and what she told me is, she says, Roberta, it's not about the money for me, but if I can help you to in a positive way to impact your life for the better, then I did my job. And she did exactly that. We've done 6 transactions, 6 or 7, and she just let me know that it's time for us to part ways. I don't want to, but
Let me tell you that my philosophy is that a good mentor is worth their weight in gold. Your last mentor was very thin, very lightweight. I'm just not saying that she was not valuable, but I know that the that person's heart
yeah,
is in the right place,
yeah,
and therefore did everything possible to make you shine.
yes,
And it was never about, oh, well, I should get some of the accolades because I'm
yeah,
the one that helped
yeah,
Roberta. But I just want to underscore that and highlight the fact that the right mentor makes the the biggest difference in a real estate agent's career. And it didn't come at a cheap price. It was a price that you paid. And I just want to remind people that for those that want to succeed in real estate, they have to pay their dues, blood, sweat, and tears, a little bit of money, right?
right, right,
Because a good mentor is going to be sharing pros and cons, success stories, etc., and they're never going to see you as a potential competitor because each of you bring a different level of service and attract a different level of client. Okay?
correct.
So I just want to make sure that people understand that the value of a mentor is there.
And a good mentor, if somebody doesn't say when you're calling them, well, I have a family I have to attend to. It just I don't understand when they tell you, I'm going to teach you this, I'm going to teach you that, and they talk a good game, but the minute you're there with them, they got you, and you're in your transaction, and and then all of a sudden it's a different story. It's like, well, I have a family that I have to attend to. I got a family too. I got to, my last mentor never spoke like that. Never.
It's a beautiful thing, a testament. Let's talk about being present. In every single training event that we have had in our offices in the area that you work, which is Ventura County, West Ventura County, I can almost count that you will be there. What motivates that sense of responsibility to be present and taking advantage of the training sessions that are made available to you in the offices?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank Century 21 for bringing that kind of training, and the managers that you have there. But for me, like, I want to learn. I want to learn. I want to learn. And I know in this business, it all has to make sense. And the beautiful thing about this business is that we don't have to think of an idea. We don't have to think statistics. We don't have to think about what the market is showing. It's all there for us. We're just being transparent. And all I got to do is be transparent and not talk about what I think, but about the laws, the rules, and such. All I have to do is know that stuff. And I'm not talking, from a place of myself, but I'm talking from a place of real estate needs, investments.
Right. The true thing about when providing or helping people with every single one of their real estate needs, right? We hear that often. A lot of real estate agents, I don't think that they understand that they're there to provide a service to fulfill a need. Businesses are there to provide a solution to a problem. The purchase of a real estate piece of, a piece of real estate, may that be a house or a building, is a problem. A real estate agent provides the solution to that problem. A good real estate agent recognizes that they're there to provide a solution to a problem, a housing need, or the need to sell a piece of property,
Mm-hmm.
right? I want to congratulate you again for recognizing the value of investing in education, in training. And the reality is that, things change consistently. You came into this real estate business in the midst of the change of the buyer representation agreement. And some can say, well, Roberta didn't know anything better, so, she had to train herself. But how did, when this challenge, not even a year and a half later, where you had to change and now articulate your value proposition and talk to people about a buyer representation agreement, how did you conquer the new way of doing business for, where agents were saying, I'm just going to quit because I'm not going to do a buyer representation agreement. I'm not going to talk to people about how much money I'm going to earn. I'm not going to charge a client to represent them with a buyer. How did you overcome that challenge, Roberta?
I just talked to them like they were my sister, my mother. Like, this is the importance. This is why we have to sign a BRBC. So to protect, so I can help you look for a home.
Right.
So I need that agreement with you.
And how was it responded by? How did people react to that statement?
Where do I sign?
Exactly.
Where do I sign? I never had a problem with that. That's why I would sit in the meetings in our trainings, and I'd like, I don't have that problem.
Mm-hmm.
It. Why is that such a problem? I couldn't understand. I could not understand that.
And of course, this is coming from somebody that has gone through a lot of adversity to get to the point that you are, having to take the real estate exam 4 times. This is nothing.
Yes.
Having to talk to people about the buyer representation agreement. I spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time. I put a lot of miles, traveling to different cities and different offices throughout the state to talk about the shift in the mindset and speaking to people about adding value,
Mm-hmm.
to articulating a value proposition, and then I spoke about differentiation. You have a brand, Roberta. Talk to us about your brand and how you present yourself. And it's actually a little bit unusual from the way that we're used to seeing people, how they promote themselves. But you have taken your branding picture of yourself. Tell us about the picture of that you use to brand as part of your branding. It's a white suit.
White suit.
Okay. And then there's a certain pose. Tell us a little bit about what went through your head when you decided this is the pose that is going to differentiate me from the rest of the real estate profession.
That pose right there, that was where I live. We have a beautiful swimming pool, beautiful, and I had a photographer come and sit down and do an interview with me. I thought that would help my marketing as well. But when he was telling me, stand like this or let's do this, and I said, you know what, let's do this. And that's when I went down on the ground and I pointed to the sky, because sky's the limit. That right there is sky's the limit. And the heavens are right there. And I'm pointing to God.
What a beautiful thing. Let's talk about branding. And part of branding is the image, the story that the message that you're trying to portray with your picture that you use for your marketing materials. But what real estate agents fail to recognize, that their brand is the level of service and the commitment that they bring to the transaction.
Right, I'm listening.
What can a client expect from you when they hire you to be the real estate agent? What is it that what is it that every single one of your clients can expect?
Okay. Um, they can expect that I'm going to listen to everything that they need. They know that the other agent's not going to take me off of what they need. They know that I'm not going to get. I'm not. I'm going to. I'm my client is the one that I listen to first. I don't care if my manager's mad at me. You know what. I know what I've spent time with my clients. I know what they need. I know what they want. I know what they can afford. And with every client, I'm like that. I might micromanage it. I guess I'm in calls with the lender because I want to make sure that my people are understanding it. You know, at the level they need to understand it because I didn't understand it and I understand it now. So how can I sell a home to somebody when and tell them what's going on with the contract and with the lending part, and I don't want them to say okay. So I always tell them, do you have any questions? Are you clear? Are you confused with the lender on the phone? And I have a great lender. He's great. And yeah.
So we're here with Roberta Zuniga, an agent that is well on her way of being well, she's already extraordinary, but she's defying the odds in a business that is very competitive, and a lot of Roberta's personal experiences are the motivating factors of her being who she is and providing the service that she provides. We are going to talk now about her team. Okay, and a team, I'm going to preface it with, for me, understanding the composition of a team occurred when I attended a real estate seminar by NAREP, of all places. NAREP in Las Vegas, of all places. It's not necessarily a place where people go and learn. I go to a lot of seminars. And for me, the event that I attended in Las Vegas for NAREP was one of the most instrumental for me to understand the value of a team and who should be on a team. And there's a gentleman who is a real estate agent in Las Vegas, as a matter of fact. He gave the explanation that a team, in order for somebody to be a member of a team, they have to add value to your business. If somebody is not adding value to your business, they should not be part of your team. And I'm going to name who are the team members of a real estate team. You have branch manager, you have a loan officer, you have potentially a specific title rep, you have potentially an exclusive escrow officer, and then you have a transaction coordinator. That to me is what makes a team. And then if you have a buyer's agent, that's a whole different aspect of a team. But let me ask, share with us, Roberta, in your team, who do you have in your team?
I have a lender. I have a escrow officer. I have a manager, the president. I have a very good support
So
team that.
if we were to use the analogy of either a football team or a baseball team, or maybe someone that runs track, as my kids do, or my son plays football, they're part of a team, and each of the team members, including the coach, including the training coach for a specialty item, and then your colleagues, they all have to make a contribution for the success of the team to be able to do with what one of my previous bosses used to say, we're going to the Super Bowl. That's the objective, to go to the Super Bowl on every single one of the transactions.
Mm-hmm.
What does your loan officer do in order for you to be loyal to him?
What does he do in order for me to be loyal to him? He gets on the phone when I ask him to talk to my clients. At the beginning, it wasn't like that when we worked together. But after several transactions, he knows exactly what I want from him. and he's willing to do it and go above and beyond.
And he adapted to your style in
To
order
my
to deliver.
Yes, he adapt. We are two. We are two. He rides horses. I DJ.
You guys are like oil and water. If
Yeah.
I would never put you guys in the same thing. And as a
Yes.
matter of fact, I was challenging you to make him dance because he's the most unlikely person to dance.
Yes.
And the thing is that talk about someone that has contributed to your success by contributing, teaching you certain things so you can actually do a better job.
Yes.
Let's talk about your transaction coordinator. Do you use a transaction coordinator?
Yes.
Okay, what is it that your transaction coordinator do for you to help you be much more successful?
Wow. She. I actually I was using C21 TC. I got my own TC.
That's fine. Uh-huh.
Because I needed someone that I could vibe with, and I think it's very important as an agent that you're able to vibe with these different people because that's going to be your team, and you have to be going in the same direction and not against each other. Now, being that I'm the realtor and I bring the client to them, that means that I have to navigate, and get my client what they need. But also, I deliver a service to my clients that I expect my TC, my lender, and whoever who's working with me to deliver the same treatment. And my lender, like I said, he's been in the business for a long time. But I remember telling him, you got to love them the way we kind of, because I didn't care with the way he was, he's a professional. He's just being him. That works for him. But I said, look, we do great work together, but I need more of you. I need you to love my clients the way I love them.
Wow.
I need you to see them the way I see them. Even though it may be $100, may be nothing to you, it's a lot to them, and I need you to know that. So don't push anything through without talking to me.
So the secret to this is holding your team members accountable
Oh, yes.
and communicating with them.
Yes.
And one of the things, I was a manager of a branch office for more than 10 years. I used to be an escrow officer. I've had staff working for me. And one of the most valuable things that I, as a manager, have, one of the
Yes.
things, the thing that I value most between my relationship with agents is a clear collaboration where they communicate with me as to what their needs are. And you do that with your branch manager. You do that with me, even though I'm not directly managing you. And I recognize that is one of the characteristics that makes a real estate agent successful by communicating the expectations. You deliver at a high
Mhm.
level, and you want to deliver. You want your team members to deliver with the same level of passion that you deliver.
Correct. Very well said. Yes.
So I encourage those that are listening that you should have a very strong communication with your manager and your team members to ensure that they are helping you accomplish the success. And this goes back to the gentleman that I met at that conference where he said they should be adding value to your business. Otherwise, they should not be qualified to be a part of your team.
Correct.
I don't mean to be pontificating here. I'm just loving this conversation. As a matter of fact, Roberta is officially the first real estate agent that I'm featuring in this podcast series. And the challenge that I am putting is that everyone that will be coming to this podcast as a real estate agent, we are going to dissect the conversation. And then from there, we're going to bring in an expert to highlight those things that each of our successful real estate agents have done in order for them to succeed even more, right? So I want to thank Roberta for taking the time and traveling to meet with me here in Ventura in our podcast studio that we've built. This is new for me, and I just want to say that I feel very honored to be working with Roberta. And I want to finish with something. We have a few minutes before the value of loyalty is something that just because th- what does it take for what does someone need to do day in and day out in order for them to enjoy your loyalty? For example, what is it that you do for your clients where it's almost a no-brainer that they are going to be loyal to you?
I,
Consistency, communication,
transparency.
transparency.
And I say everything that I say, I do it. And if I can't do it, I apologize. If I make an error, I will say I'm sorry. I don't skirt around it. I had to have some very hard conversations with, a couple of my clients, and they didn't want to hear it, but I had to tell them, and they respected me for it. You know, and I don't just, when I meet a client, I don't just say, hey, I'm going to ask for the seller to pay your fees, the closing costs, and I don't say none of that. Because if I can't deliver that, they're going to remember I said that. And I know that from experience from other mentors, because they would get mad. Well, he said this and he said that, and it was my clients, and so I learned lessons too of what I wanted to do differently, and just being very honest with them, and not, sometimes it gets, sometimes I didn't do the damage. It could have been the lender, but I never, as because I'm the realtor, I never put any responsibility on my team. I take full responsibility. I say, I'm so sorry. So and so is doing his best that he can. Sometimes it takes a different direction, but I'm here, and I apologize for this slipping through. What can we do going forward? And that's all it takes.
Excellent. I think that I have a very clear understanding, Roberta, what is the motivating factor in your success. And people do that, right?
Yes, the heart.
You approach everything from a sense of love.
Yes.
And I am going to entitle this segment, breaking through
with love.
From a perspective of, approaching it from a sense of love. Because you mentioned certain things several times over, that everything that you have done, you've approached it from a sense of love. When you talk to your clients and tell them about guiding them, you're not talking down to them, but you're talking to them from a perspective of, I'm only coming to you from a sense of love.
Yes.
You expect that sense of love to come from your team players.
Exactly.
And they know that because you've communicated,
yes.
and you've actually sent it by through example.
Yes.
So I'd like to close this segment by saying that if you want to be successful, strongly consider approaching the business from the perspective of love, sincerely from love, not just from making money. Closing statements, Roberta.
So, I believe my success comes from conquering my demons inside. I know my value today, and it doesn't matter what anybody says. I'm going to do what I need to do. But most of all, the reason why I am who I am today is because I had a lot of lack growing up. Lack of love was one of them. And I think that's what makes me so successful, so trusting, because I have conquered all that. Well, you ain't about nothing, Roberta. Well, all those things that were put in my head, I've beat them. And I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of failing. I'm not afraid to go talk to somebody. I've had clients where they've been my client for a year and a half or so, and I've sold houses, and I sold them a house. There's like 3 of them, and I stayed with them, and I see their struggle. I see how scared they are, and that's why training is so important, because we go into these trainings and we mastermind, and I get to learn how you do it, how you just different styles, and I come with my own style. But I believe to be successful in anything is you got to be your biggest fan. You got to love yourself first. And because of what I went through, I have a lot of passion and I love myself. Now, do I get hurt? Yes. Do I get mad? Yes. But I always fall back on, you know what? Let's do it again. Let's start all over again. But to be successful, especially in this business, you have to beat yourself because the only one that holds yourself back is yourself. It's true. I'm successful in selling houses in this market that I had no idea that was bad, but I had a deep, deep, deep desire. And I don't just do something half step in. I do it all the way. And it just turns into this desire for me, and I won't stop, until I get it. And I learned a lot about myself coming into this real estate craft of mine. I learned how to discipline myself. I've learned how to be obedient. I've learned how to not respond, and so I came in for other reasons, but it has polished me up as a woman. A lot of people, my friends, are telling me, "Wow, Roberta, you're different. You even talk different." And but it's because I conquered the I conquered the demons in my head that telling me I couldn't do it and I won't be able to do it, and I did it with love. And I love myself. During this time of real estate, I lost my sister through cancer, and I could have quit right there. Every day I'd go to her and rub her after I'd leave training. And at that time, we had another manager there with us, and it was difficult. I had a different mentor, and that was difficult. And at the same time, my sister was dying of cancer. But I still kept going. I would cry, but the minute I would cry, then I get back up. Something got me back up, and that was called desire. And once you have that desire, it doesn't leave you. It doesn't leave you no matter what happens. And for me, I can honestly say I whipped the devil's ass quite a few times. And I don't say that boasting or bragging. I say that with pride because God has the final say so. And I believe that God has taken me out of the pit of darkness and put the shine, on me. And I'm shining today. I'm shining today because of what you're telling me. A couple of days ago, I was in my balcony having a cold drink on the rocks. And I was so proud of myself, but and I'm by myself there, and just wow, I couldn't believe it. But at that point, God removed everything that was going to stand in my way to be here today in front of you.
So, breaking barriers and going from average to extraordinary. I don't
Did you
think
hear
that
that, Facebook?
Yeah.
Average to extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
Okay.
So there's a lot of barriers. Roberta has demonstrated that anyone can break through.
Yes.
Determination. I know it's a word that we use a lot. There's integrity, there's love, there's being self-aware
Yes.
in approaching it from a sense of love versus in a sense of profit. So I just want to thank you, Roberta, for
Yes.
being who you are. I'm very proud of being associated with you as a fellow realtor. I think it's amazing of the stuff that you are doing. I just can't wait to see what other greater things you're going to be accomplishing. And today, just want to again thank Roberta for being with us today and sharing her thoughts with us. What does it take for someone to get your attention and maybe sit down with you and learn from you? Cup of coffee, cocktail over rocks. What does it take?
Hello, do you have time?
Thank you so much, Roberta. With that said, have a great day. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you.